A historic arrest, Duterte's reckoning at The Hague. The arrest of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte sent shockwaves across the globe. On March 11, 2025, Duterte was apprehended at Manila's Ninoy Aquino International Airport upon his return from Hong Kong. He was subsequently extradited to The Hague to face charges of crimes against humanity at the International Criminal Court, or ICC. The arrest marked a watershed moment in international justice, signifying that even heads of state are not above the law. It underscored the ICC's critical role in holding perpetrators of grave crimes accountable, regardless of their political stature. Duterte's arrest was the culmination of a years-long investigation by the ICC into his brutal war on drugs. This campaign, launched upon his election as president in 2016, resulted in the deaths of thousands of suspected drug users and dealers. Human rights groups allege that the actual death toll is significantly higher than official figures, potentially exceeding 30,000. The ICC's decision to pursue charges against Duterte signaled a firm stance against extrajudicial killings and state-sanctioned violence. The rise of the Punisher. Duterte's early political career. Rodrigo Duterte's political career was marked by both charisma and controversy. Born in 1945 in Masin Leyte, Duterte rose to prominence in the southern city of Davao. He served as mayor for over 2 decades, earning a reputation for his iron-fisted approach to law and order. Duterte's supporters lauded him as a decisive leader who brought peace and stability to a city plagued by crime. Duterte's tenure as mayor was marked by allegations of human rights abuses, including the existence of the Davao Death Squad. This vigilante group, allegedly operating with impunity, was linked to extrajudicial killings of suspected criminals. While Duterte denied any involvement in these killings, he openly endorsed vigilante justice as a means of crime control. His rhetoric, often laced with profanity and threats of violence, appealed to a segment of the population yearning for a strongman leader. Duterte's success in Davao would lay the foundation for his eventual rise to national prominence. Davao City, a crucible of violence and Duterte's iron fist. Davao City, under Duterte's leadership, became a microcosm of his future policies. He implemented a strict law and order campaign that significantly reduced crime rates. However, this came at a high cost. Human rights groups documented numerous cases of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, often targeting petty criminals and street children. Duterte's methods were controversial, but his supporters argued that they were necessary to restore order. They pointed to the city's improved safety and economic growth as evidence of his success. His critics, however, condemned his disregard for due process and the rule of law. They warned that his methods would erode democratic institutions and create a climate of fear and impunity. The Davao Death Squad, although never officially acknowledged, cast a long shadow over Duterte's mayoralty. Witnesses and victims' families testified to the group's brutality, describing targeted assassinations and summary executions. International human rights organizations called for independent investigations into the killings, but Duterte's grip on power ensured that these calls went largely unheeded. The situation in Davao City served as a chilling prelude to the violence that would engulf the Philippines under his presidency. The Philippine Drug War, a campaign marred by bloodshed. Rodrigo Duterte's 2016 presidential campaign shocked the world with its brazenness. He openly promised a nationwide crackdown on drugs, vowing to eliminate drug users and dealers with ruthless efficiency. Duterte's rhetoric resonated with a public weary of crime and corruption. He won by a landslide, securing the presidency on a platform of fear and promises of swift justice. True to his word, Duterte launched his war on drugs immediately after taking office. Police raids became commonplace, often conducted with little regard for due process or the safety of suspects. The bodies of alleged drug users and dealers began piling up in the streets, victims of extrajudicial killings. Duterte's government maintained that the deaths occurred in self-defense during legitimate police operations. Human rights groups, however, painted a far grimmer picture. They documented widespread cases of extrajudicial killings, often carried out by masked gunmen believed to be operating with police complicity. The victims were overwhelmingly from impoverished communities, and their families were often too afraid to speak out for fear of reprisal. Official government figures put the death toll from the drug war at around 6,000. However, independent estimates suggest that the true number could be as high as 30,000. Section 5. Global Outcry and the ICC's Intervention. The brutality of Duterte's war on drugs drew condemnation from the international community. Human rights organizations documented widespread abuses, including extrajudicial killings, torture, and arbitrary detention. The United Nations, the European Union, and numerous governments expressed their alarm at the escalating violence and called on Duterte to end the killings. In February 2018, the International Criminal Court, or ICC, announced a preliminary examination into the situation in the Philippines. This examination, initiated by then ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda, focused on allegations of crimes against humanity committed in the context of the drug war. The ICC's involvement marked a significant escalation in international scrutiny of Duterte's policies. Duterte, enraged by the ICC's intervention, responded with defiance. He withdrew the Philippines from the Rome Statute, the treaty that established the ICC, in March 2019. However, the ICC maintained that it retained jurisdiction over crimes committed while the Philippines was still a member state. The preliminary examination continued, casting a shadow over Duterte's presidency and setting the stage for his eventual arrest. Section 6. Apprehended in Manila, Duterte's arrest and extradition. In March 2025, the ICC issued a warrant for Rodrigo Duterte's arrest. The warrant charged him with crimes against humanity, specifically murder, in connection with the thousands of extrajudicial killings committed during his war on drugs. The ICC found reasonable grounds to believe that Duterte bears responsibility for these crimes as part of a widespread and systematic attack against the civilian population. Acting on the ICC's warrant, Philippine authorities, in coordination with Interpol, arrested Duterte upon his arrival at Manila's Ninoy Aquino International Airport on March 11, 2025. Duterte, returning from a trip to Hong Kong, was taken into custody without incident and transferred to The Hague to face trial. The arrest sent shockwaves through the Philippines and the international community. It was a stunning fall from grace for a leader who had enjoyed widespread popularity despite his controversial policies. The arrest also marked a historic moment for international justice, as it demonstrated that even former heads of state are not above the law. Section 7. A polarizing legacy. Reactions to Duterte's arrest. The arrest of Rodrigo Duterte elicited a wide range of reactions, both in the Philippines and internationally. Human rights advocates hailed it as a victory for justice, a testament to the ICC's commitment to holding perpetrators of grave crimes accountable. They hoped that the trial would bring long-overdue justice to the families of the victims of Duterte's drug war and deter future atrocities. Duterte's supporters, however, condemned the arrest as an attack on Philippine sovereignty. They argued that the ICC had no jurisdiction over Duterte, as the Philippines had withdrawn from the Rome Statute. Some of his most ardent supporters even staged protests, decrying the arrest as a politically motivated witch hunt orchestrated by Duterte's opponents. The arrest also exposed deep divisions within Philippine society. While many Filipinos welcomed the prospect of justice for the victims of the drug war, others remained loyal to Duterte, viewing him as a strong leader who had restored order to the country. The arrest highlighted the challenges of accountability and reconciliation in a nation grappling with a legacy of violence and impunity. Section 8. The ICC's Mandate, a bulwark against impunity. The International Criminal Court, established in 2002, is a court of last resort. It prosecutes individuals for genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression when national courts are unwilling or unable to do so. The ICC's mandate is to ensure that the most serious crimes of concern to the international community do not go unpunished. The ICC has faced criticism over the years, with some accusing it of bias against African countries. However, the court has also achieved significant milestones, including the convictions of Congolese warlord Thomas Lubanga for the recruitment of child soldiers and former Liberian President Charles Taylor for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The ICC's decision to pursue charges against Rodrigo Duterte marked a watershed moment for the court. It was the first time that the ICC had issued an arrest warrant for a sitting or former head of state from Asia. The arrest sent a powerful message that no one, regardless of their position or power, is above the law. Section 9, The Road to Justice, Duterte's Trial and Its Implications. As of March 2025, Rodrigo Duterte is in ICC custody in The Hague awaiting trial. The trial is expected to be lengthy and complex, involving numerous witnesses and a vast amount of evidence. Prosecutors will seek to prove that Duterte bears responsibility for crimes against humanity committed during his war on drugs. Duterte's defense team is expected to argue that the ICC lacks jurisdiction over the case, and that the killings were not part of a systematic attack against the civilian population. They may also claim that Duterte is in poor health and unable to stand trial. The outcome of the trial remains uncertain. However, regardless of the verdict, the case has already had a profound impact on the Philippines and the international community. The trial has brought renewed attention to the issue of extrajudicial killings and the importance of accountability for human rights abuses. It has also underscored the ICC's vital role in upholding international justice and deterring future atrocities. For the families of the victims of Duterte's drug war, the trial represents a long-awaited opportunity for justice and a chance to finally hold those responsible for their loved ones' deaths accountable.